distinguished members of the podium as well as distinguished members of the audience, let me say right at the outset how deeply honored and indeed humbled I am to share a few words with you at this opening session of the Asma Jahangir Commemoration Conference. She was and is an icon of human rights and governance and democracy in South Asia, and I think whilst the challenge to live up to her ideals, to complete her struggle might seem even more immense, we must not give up. I think I was asked to talk about the role of institutions as far as constitutions is concerned, and I was reminded of a remark, well, a statement made by Avishai Margalit in his seminal work, The Decent Society, where he talked about a decent society as well as a civilized society. And his point was that institutions must not humiliate citizens, and citizens must not humiliate each other. And that, I think, should be the basic core principle of constitutionalism in South Asia, where we have countries of many peoples with many aspirations, who indeed have lived for centuries together without any great contention, but today seem to be on some sort of collision course. So, when we come to a constitution, when we come to thinking of institutions, I think we have to think of the broad architecture that the Constitution provides, the institutional infrastructure for the social contract between governed and governors. And in that respect, it has to be inclusive. It cannot marginalize people. It cannot provide space for alienation and also anomie, that notion of rootlessness, R-O-O-T, rootlessness, where people do not feel that they belong. There is a sense, I think, in which what I'm trying to say to you is that we need to inject the romance into democratic politics. We need to inject that sense of adventure. We need to revitalize it from a Z generation thinking that we are all old, we're all decrepit. We have to be moved aside in order to bring a new generation into power. We need the experience and expertise of the old with the energy and the dynamism and the imagination of the young. Now, I come from a country in which we've had 3 constitutions since independence in 1948, and we are supposedly embarking on a 4th constitution. And this has been going on for the last 30-odd years. There used to be a joke that you look for the Sri Lankan constitution in a library in the periodical section, because it's constantly being revised or replaced. Now, one of the issues that we have with regard to our constitution is that we want to democratize, but there is also a demand that practically everything that one can think of should go into the constitution. That it should be a bulky document that has envisaged every possible eventuality, every possible institution, and does not leave anything out. But I want to say that what we need to remind ourselves is the first principles. That if we get the first principles right, then we will get the institutions and the processes right as well. Looking back in the Sri Lankan experience, yes, there have been rather obnoxious clauses in our constitutions. But interestingly enough, the not so obnoxious clauses are the ones that are not really implemented. And that brings me to the point about constitutions at the end of the day. We can have good laws, we can have great constitutions, but if we do not have the political culture that animates them and gives them life and gives them inspiration and makes them function in the way that they are intended to, it will be an absolute disaster, an irrelevance. We can make new constitutions, but I think the real challenge for us is, can we make new citizens of a functioning democracy in Sri Lanka? Thank you.